Rockstar Games is truly the GOAT of games nowadays, but there are some games that never saw the light of the day. As I'm talking about cancelled projects, I promise you will be shocked seeing what we have missed. Let's start with something easy. How about GTA 3 for Game Boy Advance? This was a planned adaptation of the classic GTA 3 for the Game Boy Advance, but it was cancelled before it was finished. GTA 3 GBA Edition was announced in 2002 by Destination Software, a publisher that had acquired the rights to port GTA 3 to the handheld console. The game was being developed by Crawfish Interactive, a studio that had experience with GBA games such as Street Fighter Alpha 3 and X vs. Seaver. The game was supposed to be a faithful recreation of GTA 3, with the same story, missions, characters, and locations, but with some changes to fit the GBA's limitations. The game was going to use an isometric perspective, similar to the original GTA games, but with more detailed graphics and animations. The game was also going to feature a dynamic day and night cycle, weather effects, radio stations, and voice acting. The game was going to use a password system to save the progress, and it was going to support multiplayer modes via link cable. But not everything was sun and shiny. According to former developers, the game was very ambitious and complex for the GBA hardware, and it required a lot of optimization and compression to run smoothly. The game also had to deal with the strict censorship and rating policies of Nintendo, which meant that some of the violence, language, and content of GTA 3 had to be toned down or removed. The game also had to compete with other GBA games that were more popular and successful, such as Pokémon, Mario, and Zelda. The game was originally scheduled to be released in late 2002, but it was delayed several times. In November 2002, rumors began spreading that GTA 3 GBA Edition had been cancelled. Destination Software denied the claims, responding, "The game has not been canned. We'll be making an announcement at the end of the week." But the announcement never came, and the game was never mentioned again by the publisher or the developer. The game was quietly cancelled, and no official reason was ever given. The only evidence that the game existed are some screenshots and videos that were leaked online by former developers and journalists. The screenshots show some of the locations and characters of GTA 3, such as Liberty City, Claude, 8-Ball, and Catalina in the GBA style. The videos show some of the gameplay and cutscenes of the game, such as driving, shooting, and talking to NPCs. The game looked impressive for the GBA, but it also looked unfinished and buggy. So what if the game was released? How great would it be? Well, that's hard to say because we don't know how much of the game was completed and how well it would play on the GBA. Based on the screenshots and videos, we can make some guesses and opinions. I think that the game would have been a unique and interesting experience for the GBA fans, but I also think that the game would have faced some serious problems and limitations on the GBA. The game would have been very challenging and complex to develop and optimize for the GBA hardware, and it could have suffered from performance issues, glitches, and bugs. The game would have also had to deal with the strict censorship and rating policies of Nintendo, which could have affected the violence, language, and content of GTA 3. Bully 2. Yes, you heard me right. Bully 2, the sequel to the 2006 cult classic that put us in the shoes of Jimmy Hopkins, a rebellious teenager who had to survive the harsh environment of Bulworth Academy. Bully was a game that had a lot of charm, humor, and fun, and many fans have been waiting for a follow-up for over a decade. But did you know that Bully 2 was actually in development at some point, but was cancelled for various reasons? Bully, also known as Canis Canem Edit in Europe, was released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, and later ported to the Xbox 360, Wii, and PC. The game was developed by Rockstar Vancouver, the same studio that made Max Payne 3, and was later merged with Rockstar Toronto. It also sold over 1.5 million copies worldwide, making it a commercial success, but a failure for Rockstar standards. So, what happened to Bully 2? Bully 2 was in the works in the late 2000s, but was scrapped after over a year of development. The game was supposed to be a direct sequel to the original, and would have featured Jimmy as the protagonist again, along with some returning and new characters. The game would have also expanded the setting to include a summer camp and a college town where Jimmy would have new adventures and challenges. The game was reportedly being developed by Rockstar New England, the studio that was formerly known as Mad Docs Software, and was responsible for the Scholarship Edition of Bully. The studio was acquired by Rockstar in 2008 and was eager to prove themselves as a valuable part of the Rockstar family. However, they also faced a lot of pressure and competition from Rockstar North, the main studio behind the Grand Theft Auto series. According to some former developers who spoke to Game Informer, Bully 2 was initially conceived by Dan Houser, the co-founder of Rockstar Games, and a small team of writers in 2008. They wrote a script for the game and handed it over to Rockstar New England, who started working on a prototype. The prototype was playable and used the Rage engine, the same engine that powered Grand Theft Auto 4, Red Dead Redemption, and Max Payne 3. The prototype also featured some new mechanics, such as tree climbing, a morality system, and a prank system. However, the game never progressed beyond the prototype stage, and was eventually cancelled due to a lack of momentum and direction. The developers said that the game just fizzled out over time, and that they were not sure what the vision for the game was. They also said that they faced a lot of technical difficulties and crunch, and that they were constantly being moved to other projects, such as Red Dead Redemption and L.A. Noire. Eventually, Bully 2 was abandoned, and Rockstar New England focused on other games, such as Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar Games simply had other priorities and bigger projects to work on, such as Grand Theft Auto V and Red Dead Redemption 2, which were massive undertakings that required a lot of resources and manpower. Rockstar Games is known for being very ambitious and meticulous with their games, and they often take their time to polish and perfect them. This means that they have to be very selective and careful with what they choose to work on, and sometimes they have to sacrifice some projects for the sake of others. Another reason is that Bully 2 may not have been as profitable or appealing as Rockstar's other franchises, such as Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, which are among the best-selling and most critically acclaimed games of all time. Bully, while being a cult classic, was not as popular or successful as Rockstar's other games, and may not have had the same level of demand or hype from the fans or the market. Rockstar Games is also a business, and they have to make decisions that are financially viable and beneficial for them. A third, and an important reason is that Bully 2 may have faced some legal or ethical issues, especially in today's climate, where bullying and violence in schools are very sensitive and controversial topics. Bully was already banned or censored in some countries, such as Brazil, Germany, and the UK, due to its depiction of violence and harassment among minors. Bully 2 may have faced even more backlash and criticism, and may have been seen as inappropriate or irresponsible by some groups or authorities. Rockstar Games may have wanted to avoid any potential lawsuits or scandals, and may have decided to cancel Bully 2 for the sake of their reputation and image. Personally, I think Bully 2 would have been a great game, and a worthy successor to the original. I think it would have retained the charm, humor, and fun of Bully, and would have added more depth, variety, and innovation to the gameplay and the story. I think it would have explored Jimmy's character and his relationships with other characters, and would have shown his growth and development as a person. Moving on, Manhunt 3. Manhunt is a series of stealth action games that put you in the shoes of a ruthless killer who has to survive a deadly game of cat and mouse orchestrated by a sadistic director. The first game, released in 2003, was a cult hit that received critical acclaim for its dark atmosphere, intense gameplay, and innovative use of sound. The second game, released in 2007, was a commercial flop that received mixed reviews for its toned-down violence, weak story, and technical issues. But what about the third game? Well, there is no official confirmation that Rockstar ever planned to make Manhunt 3, but there are some clues that suggest that they might have. For example, in 2009, Rockstar registered the domain name Manhunt.com, which still redirects to their official website. In 2010, a former Rockstar employee claimed that he worked on a prototype for Manhunt 3 that was set in a post-apocalyptic world. In 2013, another former Rockstar employee said that he saw some concept art for Manhunt 3 that featured a female protagonist. And in 2016, a leaked document from Sony revealed that Manhunt 3 was one of the games that were considered for the PlayStation VR. So, it seems that Rockstar did have some ideas for Manhunt 3, but they never went beyond the early stages of development. Why is that? Well, there are several reasons why Rockstar might have decided to abandon the project. The most obvious one is the controversy that surrounded the series. Manhunt was banned or censored in several countries for its graphic violence and disturbing themes. Manhunt 2 was even worse, as it was initially rated AO, adults only, by the ESRB, which meant that it could not be sold in most stores or platforms. Rockstar had to cut and blur some of the scenes to lower the rating to M, mature. but that still did not prevent the game from being banned or censored in other countries. Rockstar faced a lot of backlash and criticism from the media, the public, and even some politicians, who accused the game of glorifying murder and influencing real-life crimes. Rockstar might have dropped Manhunt III as the change in their direction and focus. Rockstar is known for making ambitious and innovative games that push the boundaries of the medium. In the last decade, they have focused on creating massive open-world games that offer a lot of freedom and variety to the players, such as Grand Theft Auto V and Red Dead Redemption 2. These games are also very profitable, thanks to their online modes that generate a lot of revenue from microtransactions. Manhunt, on the other hand, is a very linear and niche game that does not fit well with Rockstar's current vision and strategy. It is unlikely that Rockstar would invest a lot of time and money into a game that would not sell well, or that would cause them more trouble than it's worth. But in any case, it seems that Manhunt III is a game that we will never see, and maybe that's for the best. Maybe Manhunt is a series that belongs to a different era, a different culture, and a different medium. What do you think? Do you want to see Manhunt 3? Do you think it would be a great game? Or a terrible game? Let me know in the comments below. The cancelled 8 GTA 5 DLCs. Yes, you heard that right. According to a recent leak of the GTA 5 source code, Rockstar Games had planned to release 8 single-player DLCs for the game, but they never did. This is a huge disappointment for many of us who loved the story mode of GTA 5 and wanted to see more of it. The first DLC was called SP Assassination Pack. This DLC would have focused on the assassination missions that Franklin, Michael, and Trevor did for Lester in the main game. It would have added more targets, more challenges, and more rewards for completing these missions. The second DLC was called SP Manhunt Pack. This DLC would have been inspired by Rockstar's horror game series, Manhunt. It would have involved the protagonists being hunted by a group of psychopaths in a dark and twisted version of Los Santos. It would have been a survival horror experience with stealth, gore, and violence. The third DLC was called SP Norman Pack. This DLC would have introduced a new character named Norman, who was a former FBI agent and a friend of Michael. Norman would have asked Michael for help in solving a series of murders that were connected to a mysterious cult. It would have been a detective thriller with clues, puzzles, and secrets. The fourth DLC was called Agent Trevor. This DLC would have turned Trevor into a secret agent working for the IAA. Trevor would have been sent on various missions around the world, such as infiltrating a Russian base, sabotaging a Chinese satellite, and stealing a nuclear warhead. It would have been a spy comedy with action, gadgets, and humor. The fifth DLC was called Relationship Pack. This DLC would have explored the personal lives of the protagonists and their relationships with other characters. It would have added more dialogue, cutscenes, and activities with their friends, family, and love interests. It would have been a drama with romance, drama, and emotions. The sixth DLC was called Enterprise Pack. This DLC would have expanded the business opportunities for the protagonists. It would have allowed them to buy, manage, and customize various properties and businesses, such as nightclubs, casinos, hotels, and more. It would have been a simulation with strategy, management, and money. The seventh DLC was called Prologue DLC. This DLC would have shown the events that happened before the main game, such as the North Yankton heist, the death of Brad, and the escape of Michael and Trevor. It would have been a prequel with backstory, nostalgia, and revelations. The eighth and final DLC was called Liberty VIF DLC. This DLC would have brought back Liberty City, the setting of GTA 4 to GTA 5. It would have allowed the players to travel between Los Santos and Liberty City, and experience new missions, characters, and features in both cities. It would have been a crossover with nostalgia, variety, and fun. So these were the 8 DLCs that Rockstar Games had planned for GTA 5, but never released. Why did they cancel them? Well, the most likely reason is that they decided to focus on GTA Online, the multiplayer mode of GTA 5, which was more profitable and popular than the single-player mode. Some of the DLCs were even repurposed and released as online updates, such as the Doomsday Heist, which was based on Agent Trevor, and the North Yankton expansion, which was based on Prologue DLC. It would have been amazing if DLCs were released, but sadly, we will never get to play these DLCs. Agent was first teased by Rockstar Games in 2007 as a PS3 exclusive game developed by Rockstar North, the same studio behind the Grand Theft Auto franchise. The game was supposed to be a cinematic action-adventure game, inspired by James Bond and other spy movies. The game would take place in the 1970s and feature locations such as Cairo, a French Mediterranean city, and even space. The game was officially announced in 2009 at Sony's E3 press conference, where a logo and some concept art were shown. However, after that, the game went silent, with no updates, screenshots, or gameplay footage ever released. So, what happened to Agent? Well, according to some former Rockstar employees, the game faced many challenges and difficulties during its development. One of the main reasons was that Rockstar North had to split its team into two to work on both Agent and GTA 4 simultaneously. This meant that Agent had less resources and attention than GTA 4, which was a much bigger and more ambitious project. Another reason was that Rockstar Games shifted its focus to online multiplayer gaming, with the huge success of GTA Online and Red Dead Online. These games required constant updates and support, which left little room for new single-player games. Agent also had to deal with the transition from the PS3 to the PS4 generation, which could have caused technical issues and delays. In the end, Agent was quietly cancelled by Rockstar Games, without any official announcement or explanation. The trademark for Agent was retired in 2018, and the game was removed from Rockstar's website in 2021, confirming its demise. But I think Agent could have been a fantastic game if it was given the proper time and care. Rockstar Games is known for its high-quality and immersive games, with great stories, characters, and gameplay. Agent could have been a unique and refreshing addition to Rockstar's portfolio, offering a different genre and setting than its usual crime and western games. Agent could have also been a showcase for the PS3's capabilities, with stunning graphics, physics, and sound. Agent could have also been a potential franchise. Buggy Boogie. This one is crazy. Buggy Boogie was a collaboration between Rockstar San Diego, then known as Angel Studios, and Nintendo's legendary game designer Shigeru Miyamoto. The game was intended to be released for the Nintendo 64, and it was described as a cross between Mario Kart and Pac-Man. The idea was that the players would control different types of buggies, such as a ladybug, a beetle, a spider, or a scorpion, and they would race on various tracks while trying to eat other buggies or parts of them. By doing so, they would gain new abilities and weapons, such as wings, claws, stingers, or webs. The game would also feature a variety of power-ups, such as speed boosts, shields, or bombs. The game was supposed to have a single-player mode, where the player would go through a series of missions and challenges, as well as a multiplayer mode, where up to 4 players could compete against each other or cooperate in teams. The game was also planned to have a unique feature called Buggy Builder, where the player could customize their own buggy by mixing and matching different parts and colors. So, why was this game cancelled? Well, there are a few possible reasons. One is that the game was too ambitious and complex for the Nintendo 64 hardware, and it suffered from technical issues and bugs. Another is that the game was not well received by Nintendo, who felt that it was too violent and gory for their family-friendly image. A third reason is that Rockstar San Diego shifted their focus to other projects, such as Midnight Club and Smuggler's Run, which were more successful and profitable. Spec Ops. Spec Ops was a series of military-themed games that started in 1998 with Spec Ops: Rangers Lead the Way for the PC. The series continued with several sequels and spin-offs, mostly for the PlayStation and PC platforms, until 2002, when the last game, Spec Ops: Airborne Commando, was released. The series was known for its realistic and tactical gameplay, as well as its use of real-world locations and scenarios. In 2003, Rockstar Vancouver, the studio behind Bully and Max Payne 3, was working on a new Spec Ops game for the PS2. The game was supposed to be a reboot of the series, with a new story, new characters, and new gameplay mechanics. The game was set in the near future, where a rogue faction of the US military had seized control of a secret base in Alaska and threatened to launch a nuclear attack on Russia. The player would take the role of a Spec Ops soldier who had to infiltrate the base and stop the threat. The game was described as a cinematic action game, with a strong emphasis on story and character development. The game would feature multiple playable characters, each with their own personality, skills, and weapons. The game would also have a branching storyline, with multiple endings depending on the player's choices and actions. The game would use the Renderware engine, the same engine used by GTA 3 and Vice City, and would have impressive graphics and physics for its time. The game was reportedly in development for about a year, and was almost finished when it was suddenly cancelled by Rockstar. The exact reason for the cancellation is unknown, but some speculate that it was due to the poor sales and reception of the previous Spec Ops games, or that Rockstar wanted to focus on other projects, such as GTA San Andreas and Bully. The game was never officially announced, and only a few screenshots and concept art have been leaked online. First of all, Spec Ops would probably be a very different game from the other Rockstar games, since it was not an open-world game, but a linear and scripted one. It would also be a more serious and realistic game, with a darker and more mature tone. It would probably appeal to fans of military shooters, such as Call of Duty or Medal of Honor, rather than fans of GTA or Bully. Spec Ops would probably be a very ambitious and innovative game, since it would have a complex and branching story, with multiple playable characters and endings. It would also have a cinematic and immersive presentation, with high-quality graphics and physics. It would probably be one of the most advanced and impressive games on the PS2, and maybe even on the PS3. The Warriors 2. The original The Warriors game was released in 2005 by Rockstar Toronto, and it was a faithful adaptation of the movie, with some added backstory and side missions. The game received critical acclaim for its gritty atmosphere, engaging combat, and faithful recreation of the movie's iconic scenes. The game was a commercial success as well, selling over 1.5 million copies worldwide. So, what happened to the sequel? Well, according to some former Rockstar developers and leaked documents, The Warriors 2 was in development at Rockstar Toronto from 2006 to 2008, and it was planned to be released for the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox 360. However, the game was not a direct sequel to the first game, but rather a spiritual successor with a different setting and theme. The Warriors 2 was set in 1960s London, and it focused on the rivalry between two youth subcultures, the mods and the rockers. The mods were stylish and sophisticated, riding scooters and listening to jazz and soul music. The rockers were rebellious and aggressive, riding motorcycles and listening to rock and roll. The game would have followed the exploits of a mod gang called the Cogs, as they fought against the rockers and other rival gangs in the streets of London. The game would have featured a similar gameplay style to the first game, with a mix of melee combat, stealth, and free roaming. The game would have also introduced some new features, such as a dynamic weather system, a day and night cycle, and a reputation system that would affect how the NPCs reacted to the player. The game would have also featured a soundtrack composed of licensed songs from the 1960s, as well as original songs inspired by the era. But why was this cancelled? Rockstar Toronto was facing some internal issues, such as staff turnover, budget cuts, and lack of direction. Another is that Rockstar Games decided to focus on other projects, such as GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption, and LA Noire, which were more profitable and popular than The Warriors. Whatever the reason, The Warriors 2 was quietly shelved in 2008, and Rockstar Toronto moved on to work on other games, such as Max Payne 3 and GTA 5. The game was never officially announced or revealed to the public, and the only evidence of its existence are some concept art, screenshots, and documents that were leaked online by anonymous sources. Now, GTA Tokyo. GTA Tokyo was a game that Rockstar Games was seriously considering to make several years ago. According to sources close to the company, Rockstar visited the Japanese capital to do some research and scout potential locations for the game 12. They were apparently impressed by the city's unique culture, architecture, and nightlife, and thought it would be a great setting for a GTA game. But the project faced some major challenges that ultimately led to its cancellation. One of the main reasons was the difficulty of moving the GTA series outside of the US. Rockstar felt that the GTA brand was strongly associated with American culture and humor, and that it would be hard to replicate that in a different context. They also had concerns about the legal and cultural implications of depicting crime and violence in Japan, where the laws and social norms are very different from the US. So, what would GTA Tokyo have been like if it was released? Well, we can only speculate, but we can imagine some of the features and possibilities that the game could have offered. For example, GTA Tokyo could have introduced a new protagonist, or a group of protagonists, with different backgrounds and motivations. They could have been involved in the underworld of Tokyo, such as the Yakuza, the gangs, or the hackers. You never know. That's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments if you get a chance to revive one of these cancelled projects. Which one would it be? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Take care.